I personally haven't found an AI influencer that truly works. Either they are too expensive or they are a bit glitchy or it doesn't work. The challenge is how do I find the next?
Welcome to Where Are My Customers? Brought to you by AeroChat and produced by Stridex. Okay,
Okay.
I think we are
Hello.
on, right? Grace, thanks
Hi.
and welcome onto our podcast. How's
Thank you
everything?
so much for having me, Elba. Yeah.
Hey, cool.
Everything's good. It's been quite a busy week, but everything is quite exciting at the same time.
Lovely. You know what?
Mm.
In fact, I remember that first time that I, got connected with you at Jeremiah's event,
Mm.
right? I was taken by,
Yeah.
that whole bubbly, very positive, attitude that vibe that you bring to the
Thank you.
networking, which is why I thought,
Mm.
oh, that's something very interesting, and I wanted to understand more, which is why taking
Mm.
the opportunity of this podcast to actually learn more and share, understand more about what you have been doing. So maybe
For sure.
for the benefit of those who are new to you, maybe can you give a quick intro of yourself and what you do?
Okay, hi everyone. I'm Grace. I am a social media agency founder. My agency is called Content Hearts, and we started actually last year only in 2024. But prior to starting this agency, I was actually working as a creative director for about 12 years in the big advertising agencies. Then something happened in 2023. I got retrenched and everything changed from there. Then I started to see what else can I do besides like working in corporate. And the answer to that is starting my own agency. And instead of doing everything at the start, I chose to specifically focus on social media content creation alone. So here I am now, and thanks for having me again, Alba. It was great to be connected with you.
Awesome. Great. So, you talk about this whole change comes from the
Mm,
fact that you got retrenched. And I think it's a very relevant topic to talk about right now because obviously we've seen on the news, big tech companies are laying off people, Meta is laying off and
mm.
some of like
Yeah.
TikTok, that's the most recent one I heard this couple of days ago. TikTok is also laying off some people, right? So
Mm,
retrenchment is a
mm,
very
mm,
relevant topic right now. And if you could share a bit more, because a lot of people probably relate to your story, right? In
mm,
terms of, they
for
have been
sure.
in corporate for a long
Mm,
time and they suddenly got that retrenchment notice
mm,
and they probably felt lost at what to do, and maybe have
mm,
doubts about self-worth. So
mm,
share with us, how do you actually navigate? Can you bring us back to that moment, right, where
mm,
you got that notice that you are being let
mm.
go? How do
Yeah.
you look at that situation? How do you then try to navigate and make sense of it and eventually found this direction that you are taking? Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Because I will be lying if I said that I got everything figured out the day that I found out I got retrenched. Because the truth was, I was in shock. Um, um, for me, for my case, in fact, right, I didn't know that I was going to get retrenched because in there were no telltale signs. We thought that the business it wasn't doing so well, but it wasn't bad at the same time. So we weren't like actively looking for jobs already at that point of time. So I was definitely shocked. It took me a while to really get out of that feeling, that anxiety, that wow, what happened now? That kind of feeling to actually center myself and think, okay, let's look at this. Like, I have a few choices, right? I can go back to corporate again. I can continue finding new jobs, or I can also start something that I've been passionate about, which was social media and content creation. So the thing was, before I got retrenched, I was always doing content creation on the side. So I had this skincare in Instagram that I developed since the COVID pandemic time, and I enjoyed doing content creation so much. I felt that there are certain areas in my day job that would overlap with the content creation, so I can do I can design well. I can also come up with creative ideas. These are the things that I can immediately apply to content creation. So I was having so much fun doing content creation on the side. Then when I eventually got retrenched, I was thinking to myself, okay, is there anything else that I can actually pursue instead of just finding another corporate job that might even lead to another retrenchment in the future? So that sort of thought led me to believe that, okay, maybe this is the right time. Instead of continue pursuing corporate roles, I should pivot and try something else, try something new. Although it might be very small and unstable in the beginning, but I hope that by starting something on my own, I have I'm more irreplaceable in my own company rather than if I go to another corporate job.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think,
that's how I whole thought. Hmm.
well, thanks for sharing that. And I think that's kind of where probably a lot of people are thinking. Yeah, like, you said something about, you're then in control. You won't be in a situation where you are going to be replaced again, right?
Mm,
So I think that kind of is what a lot of people think about, when they start something on their own, which is, to really have full control over, their destiny, what they want to do. But
mm.
when you make that transition from being someone in a part of a larger organization and handling a lot of these much bigger accounts with much bigger campaigns, then moving into starting your own, doing your own agency work, what's the biggest difference in terms of, could be interactions, could be the work, could be, anything. What are some of the biggest change or the biggest difference that you see when you make that transition from corporate to your own business?
Yeah, so for me, it's definitely having to do everything on my own. Prior to this in corporate, I was a creative, right? So I was only taking care of the creative side of things. I wasn't aware at all about the financial side, the business side, having to find new clients, having to manage the budget, having to pay manpower fee, the resources and all that. I wasn't aware about all these problems at all. So I was still in my la la land, the creative la la land, most of the time when I was in corporate roles. And I could afford to do that because my role was only on the creative side. But now that I'm moving into a business owner, I have to take into consideration everything, not just the creative side, but also how we can get new clients at the same time, as well as like how do I make the creative that I produce generate more income, more revenue for my clients, so that we can justify our pricing, we can justify all our the value that we give and all that. So definitely a lot more learnings in all aspects of the business, not just the creative, but also others as well. Yeah.
Okay. Which kind of neatly leads to the next thing I'm going to ask. By the way, you know,
Mm.
um, the name of our podcast, right? Is Where Are My Customers? So that's the name of the podcast. And you were talking
Mm.
about now that you are, transitioning into a business owner, you need to know how to market yourself, find customers, right? So
Mm.
exactly, like as a agency owner, as a business owner, right? How do you go about finding your customers?
Yeah, I mean everybody also want to know, right?
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
for me, actually I have quite a unique story because back in 2024, I started posting about my retrenchment story on TikTok, and that post actually got pretty viral. So it garnered about like 350,000 views as of now, and somehow the story got picked up by CNA Talking Point, and I was like invited to share about the story on live national TV. Yeah. So that's how I got started. With the whole journey. From then on, I just kept sharing about my story on TikTok mostly, and sharing about what I could do, about like my agency, about the team that I'm building. And that's how I eventually manage to attract all the potential leads and all my clients. So I would say for now, about 90% of our clients came from TikTok. Yeah.
Wow, okay, that's amazing.
Mm,
I
yeah.
I kind of at first when you're talking about your story got picked up by CNA, right?
Mm,
I half expected that, oh, you're gonna say that the first thing is make sure you get on national TV. Like, okay, that's a big win. But
yeah.
uh, it's interesting that you say right now most of your leads are coming in from TikTok, right?
Mm.
Does that mean that right now the focus and the majority of your marketing efforts are on TikTok?
As of now, yes, on TikTok, because I haven't really spent much on ads. Like I haven't really spent. I mean, I had $0 on ads
Hmm.
for now. So I really mainly focus on my organic content on TikTok. And since this year, I've started like branching out into LinkedIn as well. But very recent efforts only. Yeah. So I would say most of our marketing efforts now is just sharing our stories, sharing our my personal branding, and sharing about what we can do on TikTok. Mm,
Okay, and that's interesting because we also have heard from business owners and even agencies, right,
mm,
that tried promoting themselves, try putting out
mm,
content on TikTok,
mm,
but they don't really seem to get results. They don't really seem to be
mm,
able to get traction. And
mm.
so what kind of advice would you give, to people who are or businesses who are trying to develop their presence on TikTok and achieve some of the you know results or outcomes that you are currently enjoying?
Mm, I would say it's a more of a content strategy. So even though we are posting on TikTok, there's always like a solid content strategy behind it. First of all, it's to leverage your own personal branding. I would say that my personal branding, for my personal branding, retrenchment story is a huge part of it. So I always leverage that into my storytelling to appeal or to resonate with a lot of people who are experiencing the same things. But on top of that, having just the retrenchment story alone isn't going to convert them into paying clients. So, what is actually going to convert them is more of my stories about my previous roles in the advertising industry. Because again, not everybody comes from big advertising agency background and has like more than a decade experience in advertising agency. So that's another thing that I can leverage into my content, for people to know that, oh, I'm not just like a random retrenched person, but I also have like credibility in my past working life. So these are the things that I always try to subtly include into all my contents for that people know that I have this kind of credibility. And yes, I'm retrenched, but at the same time, I also am have been managing these brands. I've been managing these clients as well. Yeah, and on top of that, I'm also sharing more thought pieces and thought leaderships about what I think is the future of the advertising industry, and what I think is working the best in social media marketing at the moment. So this kind of thought leadership, for sure, they're not gonna be viral, or they're not gonna be the ones that are like attracting millions of views, right? But out of the, for example, 400 views that I'm getting, all 400 are mostly people that are already interested to work with me. And these people are already my target audience that I'm specifically looking out for. That's why like with all these combination of content strategy of like personal branding, credibility, thought leadership piece, I am able to attract people, potential leads to want to see more about my company and what we offer. And then eventually from my thought leadership, they are able to be converted and think that, okay, maybe I have got something to offer. My agency has got something to offer that can help them. Yeah. So it's more like a content funnel sort of a thing.
Right. Okay. I guess the old school marketing funnel still works. It's just that you need to put in the right ingredients for it to work. There's these days, I'm sure a lot of people are putting out sensational pieces like, oh, marketing funnel is there, and there's the new kind of marketing and so on. But
Mm.
interestingly, you mentioned something about some of your content, some of your TikTok pieces may not be viral, 400 views. But again, 400 views is nothing nothing to press down upon. Some people don't even get 40 views for a
Yeah.
piece, right? But I
Mm.
think the thing that I wanted to ask is, I'm sure you come across a lot of clients who will come to you and they'll say, "Hey, Grace, I'm putting out content on my TikTok. How do I go viral?" Is that a question that you
Mm.
get a lot? And how do you
Yeah.
then address or, you know, reframe that, with people who ask you that? Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Has been a, a main struggle. I mean, not main struggle, but it's a struggle that we are facing quite a lot. Um, and most of it is due to lack of education, right? Because we call these views, likes, shares is more like vanity metrics. That actually it's good to see, but it doesn't really help in conversion, or it doesn't really actually help your business all that much. So what we are trying to do is always try to educate our clients to look beyond the vanity metrics and focus on what matters the most in fulfilling their goals. So for example, if their goal is more to establish a strong branding, so establish like a very polished, curated branding, then I feel that views doesn't matter as much. What matters more is having the aesthetic, the vibe, the look of the brand photography that would represent their branding the best. So different goals have different metrics for success, and it doesn't always necessarily meaning higher views in that sense. Yeah.
Okay. And you also brought up something which I want to get into as well, about brands having a curated look, a
Hmm.
curated posture. But
Hmm.
we have also all heard and seen, in recent times, a lot of brands, entrepreneurs, founders, personalities, influencers, right, advocating this thing about being authentic, being raw,
Hmm.
being unfiltered, right?
Hmm.
Like this podcast, we position it as a very raw, unfiltered
Yeah.
kind of conversation.
Hmm.
What do you think about, are these two opposing schools of thought, in the sense that
Hmm.
a brand needs to be polished, needs to be curated, versus, okay, let's go raw, let's go unfiltered? Is there a dichotomy and
Hmm.
opposing, in these two school of thoughts, and where do you sit on this?
Hmm. For me, I believe that it really depends on the product that you're selling, right?
Sure.
If I'm selling a handbag or like a fashion brand, I definitely have to showcase the products in the best possible way first. Yes, we can always go towards the authentic employee generated content style, but at the end of the day, your customers still have to like know and be attracted to your products to actually buy them. Yeah, that's where like I think a lot of companies are missing the mark in that sense. Like they just focus on just EGC, just authentic content alone, then they lose focus on like their branding and who they actually is. So they would just like do a bunch of random trends, but at the same time they are not like they are not showcasing their products in the best way, and they are not showing the customer how their products want to be, their branding wants to be perceived. So that's the kind of pitfalls that I I don't want my clients to be having. That's why from the start we need to be clear on the goals and the objectives that we are trying to achieve first. Like if you are a fashion brand, if you are a product brand, then of course you still need your curated stuff. But at the same time, if you want to appear as not a cold brand or not like very uh very fluffy brand, or you want to be relatable, then of course we can add in a bit of like the authentic element to it. So everything can be like be seen as a more wholesome brand in general. But if your branding is from the get go, you are like somebody who's very approachable, or your price point is very accessible to the masses, you are attracting like the Gen Zs, or you are attracting someone that is the masses, then of course, yes, we can go towards full on the authentic route.
Okay.
Mm.
And just now you also mentioned about uh, employee
Mm.
UGC, right? And I think some of uh, companies are also looking at,
Mm.
okay, can I get my staff to post things? Like, for example,
Yeah.
let's just jump over to LinkedIn, right? There will be
Mm.
some companies like, oh, let's get our staff to post about the company, about our business on LinkedIn, right?
Mm.
What do you think of such an approach? Is it a good or a bad thing? And is there a way to navigate such? Because some employees might like it, some might be like, why do I have to do this? And it feels forced. So where's your stand on this?
So EGC, I mean LinkedIn a little bit hard to because LinkedIn is naturally is a bit different for EGC style. But I would say maybe for TikTok or Instagram lah. For me, EGC is always is very good. Like especially if you are a bigger company that has like a team, and if you have like more than 3 people on marketing team, of course, I would 100% advise them to do EGC, because at the end of the day, people love to see similar faces day after day, and having that facial recognition, the same team will actually help your branding, help your business. Um, then the challenge here is, first of all, to find employees that really embody your brand, because you don't want to feature people that don't really embody your brand essence. Then it will be seen as like how come there's a disparate, how come like it's not linked,
Mm.
so to speak. Yeah. And also second challenge is, again, like what you said, people, especially in Singapore, they're very resistant towards like showing their faces in front of the camera, and they would feel like, oh, how come this is not within my job scope? Like, why do I have to do this as well? Then that's where agencies like us comes in, I believe. Like, so agencies like my agency is like the middle person between your company and your staff, so that if you have staff who are very resistant to appear in front of the camera, we are always there to help them, to coach them so that they are more comfortable, and then we will give them the ideas, we will give them what to do, and we will even like help them to portray their best natural self in front of the camera, so that it doesn't appear very stiff or very awkward. Yeah, so I believe EGC is definitely good to have for your company, but if your staff is very resistant to it, I recommend that your brand can go to companies like ours that would be the middle person that to help that make it happen.
You know,
Mm.
I thought for a moment you're gonna say, oh, then I'll be the pretend staff to do.
We had to do that like
Okay.
sometimes. We unfortunately, the truth is like a lot of the staff really don't want to appear in front of the camera, and that's where we have to step in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that happen. Like I had to get my team to pretend to be the staff, but it's not ideal. I would say that it's not ideal, because at the end of the day, you want your brand
Yes.
to have, yeah, you feature your own people lah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You can't be. Oh, I'm Grace now for brand A, and I'm Grace again for brand B.
Exa- exactly. If like keep using my face, I don't mind, but the customers who will have seen my face elsewhere will
Yeah,
know that I'm not genuinely their staff, right?
yeah.
So it could backfire in a way.
No,
Mm.
which brings me to something that's actually also kind of related, and it's interesting that we talk about this because
Mm.
if that's the case, right, and audience these days are smarter and smarter, more discerning,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
They know that, if Grace is representing brand A and then brand B and brand C, then Grace is not part of brand A, B, or C.
Mm.
But isn't it the same with influencers,
Mm.
celebrities?
Mm.
And how do you look at, brands using celebrities and influencers for content? Is
Mm.
it still meaningful, or like these days it's just not effective anymore?
So I have to say that I have a client as well that works a lot with influencer, right? And she would tell me that the only way an influencer will work and will get good ROI is when the influencer actually believe in your product. So they don't just say it for the sake of an ad or pretend, but they actually love the product and want to use it in real life. That's the only way where the influencer um, their reach, their creativity, and their craft will come into play because especially if they have like a huge following and they really advocate for this product, it could actually do wonders for that. And I've seen that happen to one of my clients. But the problem comes in when you hire influencers that don't really care about your product and they are just doing it for a job, and that becomes inauthentic, and people can tell that they're just marketing this because it's a job, it's a paid job. And that's where like you see the ROI is not there. Like you would spend like thousands, $20,000 just to hire this influencer, but it's not converting because people can tell that you don't actually really like the product itself. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's how
exactly.
like customers are becoming smarter and smarter. They can tell about all these things, to be honest.
Now, I think
Mm.
that there's also a part of where some brands are not getting smarter. I don't know if you have come across this. Um,
Uh, uh,
Dwayne the Rock Johnson, right? The
mm,
wrestler turned Hollywood star,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Recently, there was this ad about him. It was a super joke, right?
Mm,
Where he's the face or ambassador
mm,
of a hair care product. I mean, how off brand can you be? And
uh,
obviously, The Rock being The Rock, the brand
mm,
probably paid through the roof, right?
mm,
Just to get his face on it.
yeah.
But that's like, you know, how much can you believe in The Rock really believing in that product? So,
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like some brands also must do their homework lah when they are choosing their influencer.
yeah,
Don't just see like pretty face, then okay, can. You need to see what they have been posting and whether it truly aligns with the product itself or not. I
yeah,
guess that's where the authenticity part comes in, because if the audience can tell, oh, yes, this product like really stands with everything this person have said before or what they truly believe in, then there's a higher chance that their following will convert and will consider that product as well. Yeah.
Now, as we are talking right now, I find myself starting to have a mentality shift towards something that I previously didn't really believe in, right?
Mm,
Ironically, given that I'm in the AI space. So the thing that I'm talking about is actually AI avatars, or more specifically, AI influencers. Okay.
mm, mm.
I'm sure you know there are certain brands that are starting to craft AI influencers and for their marketing. Now,
Yeah.
again, despite the fact that I'm very deep in AI myself, I actually don't really like the idea of AI influencers. I can't seem to find a reason why there should be a need for it. But as you were sharing just now, and it kind of dawned to me that probably there is a reason for it, because there isn't good enough celebrities or influencers that fit the profile of my brand, and maybe because my staff are just camera shy, they just really don't want to be on camera. So where do you stand on this? What's your take on AI influencers? Is it a good? Is it a bad thing? And how they can be effectively deployed for marketing?
So, I mean, I personally haven't found an AI influencer that truly works for our brand yet. Either they are too expensive or they're a bit glitchy or it doesn't work in general for whatever reasons. But having said that, right, I feel that some people really cannot make it in front of the camera.
The,
Like, mm,
like after like training them, you're like, do you get to the point where you're like, you know what? Okay, let's try another way. Maybe let's not put a face. Have you ever come to that
yeah,
point?
for sure, for sure, for sure. Some people, I mean, at the end of the day, social media is very like a judgmental platform,
Yeah,
right? Like,
yeah.
it's not just like how you look. Actually, like it's not 100% about how you look. You can be like a normal looking person, normal looking guy, but if your vibe is there, people will resonate with you. And this vibe thing is the thing that we can't teach. Like, of
Mm.
course, I can hype you up and say, "Hello, go Alva, hey." But at the end of the day, if your vibe is like, "Hi, my
Yeah.
name is," it just like won't attract any audience because people resonate with who you are, what you stand for, your vibe, the whole thing, the whole package. And yes, that having said that, true, like some people that really cannot make it in front of the camera, maybe it's better to shoot like a B-roll video instead, like show the hands or show the surrounding, or even like use like a AI, maybe the AI presenter, so you have the
Yeah,
script and then
yeah,
yeah, they
yeah,
they,
yeah,
they present for
yeah,
you.
yeah.
Maybe there will be a better solution if for people who really really cannot. Yeah.
No, I think I came across some stock exchange apps. Won't name which one. I think came across the ads of some stock exchange app. Like you could tell it's an AI generated. They probably map it against some unwilling employee, but that whole presenter, the avatar is you can tell it's AI generated. But you mentioned
Mm.
something about you come across certain AI influencers that are expensive. Now that's a bit shocking to me. I thought one of the selling point of using AI influencer is supposedly to be cheaper because they can be generated by AI. I don't quite understand where the expensive part is coming from.
Oh, I'm not very familiar in this. I mean, I haven't really done like a lot of research on this, but the cheaper ones that I came across are like a bit buggy or they have certain limitations. Yeah. So I would imagine if you want like a really seamless, very believable type of AI presenter, then it's gonna cost a bit lah as compared to your own
Mm,
stuff. If you're like
yeah.
forcing your own stuff, then
Mm.
it's free, but the quality is not there. Yeah.
Which kind of brings back to, if you need to spend so
Mm.
much time and effort to train an AI influencer to be as natural and as on point and as realistic, yeah, probably it's easier to just get a human.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
why go through all the hassle
Yeah.
of trying to make a machine look realistic when you're like, why not just get a willing human, right? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And some people like students and all these, they are not very expensive and they love to feature themselves in front of the camera. So yeah, like it's just how you manage to get this human
Mm.
in a smart way, I guess.
No, but I like the fact that you now again bring up something that saves me the trouble of asking you, because that naturally leads me to something else that you brought up. You mentioned
Mm,
about young people.
mm.
I don't even I don't even know the terms anymore. Like Gen Z,
Gen
millennials, or
Zs.
alpha, right? I don't know. I don't
Mm,
even know what I am.
mm,
But let's call it the young ones, right? The young people.
mm, mm,
I think I'm old foggy already lah. Yeah, I think I have a generational gap in terms of understanding. But
mm.
how do you look at the young people these days and the way they communicate with social media? But more importantly,
Mm,
from a business perspective, right?
mm.
What is that difference in approach to their marketing content that will resonate more with the young people these days? because they are going to be the ones that will go into the workforce. They are the ones who are going to become
Yeah,
the income earners, and they are going to be the purchasers in the future, right? So I
for sure.
assume it's
Yeah.
probably going to be better to start grooming them and start priming them to be aware of
Mm,
your brand.
yeah.
But what's that approach to market to them?
Mm. So most of my staff are Gen Zs and they're very, very young. So I learned that their generation, they communicate differently, slightly differently from us, in the sense that they are very expressive in front of the camera. So they are not shy in front of the camera. They are open to share like their thoughts. They're open to even speak in front of the camera very in a very natural way, and they're also like very expressive. Like for example, they have like a trend that they love doing, then just do like
Oh,
they
okay,
don't
yeah.
think so much. Yeah, they
Mm.
don't think so much, and those are the type of content surprisingly that does the best in TikTok, especially the type of content that like takes 5 minutes to do, instead of like the 5 hours shoot. The surprisingly the 5 minute content always perform better,
Mm-hmm.
or the ones that are seems very unscripted or very like on the go. Those are the ones that can perform the best for some reason. So that's why Gen Z marketing kind of like does well, because it's just so random and so authentic that people, it's like a breath of fresh air as compared to the overly scripted approach. Yeah, but at the same time, my personal take is that these trends and these 5 minute things isn't always good, because you, at the end of the day, you still have to bring your brand value and the brand USP through, and it can't be like showing just trend and random stuff here and there. So that's where people like us who have experience in the corporate world comes in to really angle some of the content towards more of like, okay, where does the brand comes from, and what part of the USP can we include here? Those are the type that of content that they are not so familiar with. Yeah, so they are more familiar with the fun, the explosive, the very like fun content to watch, but not necessarily talking or selling your brand. Yeah, that's
No,
my
but
personal take.
so I think these days on I didn't see it on TikTok, but I saw it
Mm,
on YouTube Shorts. But I think it's
mm,
blowing up everywhere. You know that
mm.
Tony guy from LC Science, right? All right.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh, yes. Very
So
funny.
that
Yeah.
has been. I mean, he's blowing up everywhere. People are saying he's the
Mm,
most popular guy on the internet right now.
mm,
So
mm,
that to me is an example of where you can hijack or hook uh, your audience in with
mm,
with random elements, but then
mm.
hard pivot to selling your products.
Yeah.
And the
Yes.
way he does it is it breaks all marketing norms. Like the 5 second clips in front has nothing
Yeah.
to do with the product, but he makes a hard
Yeah.
pivot and people are buying it. So
Yeah.
I think the point that I'm trying to make, and what I'm trying to ask, right, is
Mm,
it seems that a lot of the established marketing frameworks, a lot of established marketing storytelling that we used to do, right,
mm,
seems to be breaking in all sorts of manners with a lot of all these different ways of, content that's
mm.
coming out, right?
Yeah.
And I'm very sure that brands and even some marketers among us are flabbergasted. Like, what's going on?
Mm, mm.
What's your take? And how do you think brands and even marketers should navigate in this seemingly environment of we don't know what is working, we don't know what is not working?
You know why the LC guy works or not?
Hmm.
It's
Oh, maybe. Oh,
because his
you have a
personality.
friend. Okay.
It's just because of him. If I try to copy his style and apply it to my current client, I can tell you 100% it won't work, because you, in order for that model to work, you have to have his vibe, the way he react, his sarcastic expression, everything have to come into play in order for this idea to work. So this idea, yes, it works very well for him because of who he is, because of how he behaves in front of the camera, and it's something that we can't replicate for other clients. If we don't have him, basically the idea won't happen lah. If we
Mm-hmm.
put any other actors to replace him, I don't think that the idea will work as well. So I would say that for this one, it's really um good job for him for like finding like this thing that actually works for him. But what we can do for other brands is to find what is specifically theirs that can work well in in social media as well. And it might not be like copy paste lah. Yeah, it
Yeah.
you have to find a way that would work, that would fit your current talent pool, that would fit your current staff, and that would fit your overall branding and your overall product as well. Yeah, that's the hard part, the challenge here. Mm.
Yeah. So yeah, I agree with you now that you say it. Obviously, any other brand right now following the same style would just be, uh, you know, branded as, oh, you're just a copycat, right? And it definitely
Mm.
won't get the kind of response.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not sure. I haven't really researched it, but I don't think Tony is the owner of the business. He just happens to be very good in front of a camera.
Mm.
But what do you say to that? A lot of business owners, maybe they are solopreneurs or they're just starting out, or they, like
Mm.
what you say, they really don't have employees who are able to be natural, be having that
Mm.
vibe in front of camera.
Mm.
And they're seeing all these examples of marketing blowing up, right? So they're thinking, okay, I have to then do personal branding? Do I have to then personally bring myself out there,
Mm.
right? Which we kind of talked about just now. Like, I'm doing my
Yeah.
version of personal branding on LinkedIn, and you're
Yeah.
starting to do that. You have
Yeah.
successfully done it on TikTok. So what's your take on it? Is it something that, like, business owners just have no choice but to dive into? Or yeah.
Yeah, for sure, 100%. I mean, I would say that um as as a founder, if you really don't have anybody, then you have to share whatever you have to showcase more or to bring awareness to your brand. If not, if you're not sharing about your own story, you're not sharing about your product, then who is gonna share about it? Like nobody.
Yeah.
So especially when like if you're a founder like starting a business or building a product, people always love to see how you got started, what made you want to start this product, and they also want to see the journey. So nowadays the kind of content that does very well is founders who are letting people into the journey of creating the product itself. So the product doesn't have to be launched yet, but people are invested in her story. People are invested in the way this product is being produced, even not just the successes, but also the failures, the trial and errors, the mistakes that they face along the way. People are loving this kind of content from the founder. And when you say about the trend, like seeing the LC sign guy, like do I have to follow the same format? Like absolutely not. Like again, you have to find something that works that is authentically yourself as a founder. Like for me, I'm not the funny person. I don't think I can do the LC style well. So I'll try to find something that would resonate well with my personality and my own branding. And similarly to yours, if you feel like you are more of a funny person, you like to do skits and comedies, why not try that and maybe it will work for you.
Yeah.
Every
I kind
person
of
has got different ways.
I kind of realized that, especially with my recent LinkedIn post, I've become more sarcastic. The problem the problem is
Yes.
the
Oh,
problem is if you read some of the comments, like, yeah, you didn't get the post at all. some of the sarcasm just flew right over their head. Like, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, which is funny, but because when I saw you in person, I thought you were like a serious person. But when I read all your LinkedIn posts, it's like, hey, this guy is actually very funny. Yeah, like I think having that authenticity about you and showcasing like your personality always helps in marketing yourself.
That's a challenge, right? Like for me, I'm a Gemini. So I have two
Mm.
sides. And that's probably like why, when you first saw me, it's like, oh, it's serious. That's one side. But when it comes to the online stuff, then the other crazy part comes up. But on personal branding, when we talk about being authentic, sharing stories, including vulnerability, and I largely
Mm,
agree with what you say. And those
mm,
are very good emotional core to tie the brand to.
mm.
But again, this is just me, and I might
Yeah.
be, how should I put it? I might be disturbing some people here. Do you find that some people actually share too much? Like, they take the personal part of branding way too personal. Like sharing things like, yeah, maybe we don't really need to know about this.
I see. I get what you mean. Um, I haven't really come across a lot of people like that, especially on LinkedIn. But I feel that there's always certain parts of you that don't need to be shared online. Like for myself, I don't really share about my husband and my family because I just feel like it doesn't really link to what I do. So I don't really share much about that. So like I will share a lot and be vulnerable over business related stuff, rejection, entrepreneurship, corporate life. But there's other parts of me that I try to keep private. And I feel that that should be the way for other entrepreneurs as well, or creators, whether on LinkedIn, on TikTok. Like keep some parts of you still private. Like we don't need to know everything, especially if it doesn't um adds value to whatever you're selling. So it's no point. Unless
Mm.
you just want the views or you just want the attention, then yeah, it's okay, I
Yeah,
guess.
that
Uh
could be that could be another thing, right? Yeah.
mm, yeah. Sometimes I just want to like, get the likes, attention and all that, which can be like encouraging, can be fun as well. Yeah.
You know what's my thief on this? It's
Uh,
actually not the personal sharing part. It's not the personal, because I can
mm,
understand for some um content creators or some people building their
mm,
personal brand on social media, right? I
mm,
can understand that a large part of who they are, a large part of their story actually come from that personal vulnerability, that
mm,
personal emotion.
yeah.
So I totally get why they need to say it.
Mm.
My problem, and this is going to ruffle a lot of people, my problem is, why do you have to keep repeating it?
Mm,
Right? Like 2 years, 3 years from now, you're still repeating the same emotional beat. I mean, come on, get over it.
mm.
We get it. We get the trauma, but it has been 3 years since that story broke. Like, are you still stuck?
Uh,
Are you still stuck in where you are? Get over it. You know,
Actually, I have like positive and negative take on that.
eh,
Like, I feel that because that's such a huge part of their personal brand story, right? Like how like Spider-Man always tell about the death of the uncle.
yeah.
That is gonna be like always part of you. But at the same time, yeah, a lot of your followers who have been following you from the start will get tired of the story over and over again. Which is why, like for myself, I'm also facing the same like dilemma. Like I want to keep sharing about my retrenchment, but at the same time, I feel like there are some people who are already bored and tired of it. So that's but like how do I pivot from here to find another thing that people resonate with is also a challenge. Yeah, sometimes like when people follow you because of your retrenchment story, for example, then you kind of think like people will expect you to keep sharing about retrenchment. because those are the ones that's gonna get the most likes, the most views, the most like comments, right? And then you'll feel like, okay, maybe I should just keep sharing about this story. Yeah. So I guess there's no wrong and right answer. I wouldn't say that these people are doing something wrong with constantly sharing the same story. Maybe those are the ones that perform the best. But I guess the challenge is, how do I find the next interesting thing that I can pivot that would get the same reaction and get the same success as my original story? That's something that I have yet to find as well.
But okay, on that thread, right?
Mm,
Do you think that it probably has better, mm, for lack of a better word, okay, I'm going to rephrase it in a different way.
mm,
On that track, would you think that actually what your audience, or any audience for that matter, right? Probably they are also more interested and more invested in the growth journey rather than
mm,
revisiting the origin story over and over again. Like you,
mm,
you mentioned about Spider-Man, right? Yes,
yeah.
the Uncle Ben or the Aunt May, that death, and
Mm,
that whole lesson that he learned from it, right? Yes, it's a pivotal part of why Peter Parker is Spider-Man. But a lot of what we are invested in as an audience, or as people who like Spider-Man, is how you grow and evolve in your
mm,
journey, in your new adventures, right?
yeah.
So wouldn't that be a better path? Yes, you still have your origin story. Nobody's gonna take away from that, right? But wouldn't audience be more interested and invested in how you take that energy, how you take that initial motivation to then grow along the way? Wouldn't the growth journey be more exciting and more worthy of rooting? That's something I'm
Yeah.
trying to, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I think your sentiment just now also bring out a new thought in me as well that I haven't thought before. Like we see creators like that has 5 minute fame, like his Uncle Roger, for
Yeah.
example, like the fried rice thing, right? And but then he didn't keep talking about fried rice again. He ventured into other food critic, and then now he ventured into his own restaurant. So there's a growth there that people are interested to see. And also another retrenchment turned content creator that I really love, called Chloe Shi from the
O-
US. So
okay.
yeah, she was really she got viral for recording her termination. So
Oh, that
she
one.
she
Oh, okay.
recorded, yeah,
Yeah.
she was working at like very high end tech company. I can't
Hmm.
remember what's the name. Discord, I think Discord.
Okay.
Yeah, then she recorded herself getting terminated. Then that video went viral. But now she is pivoting to create like very cinematic, very nicely produced videos, and people are loving it. So as what you said just now, yes, people are interested to see the growth, the journey, and how much you have pivoted from that initial starting point. And I do believe in that as well. I guess the challenge is now is it's extremely hard to find that thing that people are still interested in seeing after your origin story has passed. Yeah, that thing is very hard to find. That's why we don't see a lot of creators who can make it past their 5 minutes fame.
Mm.
Uh,
Okay. True. True. By the way, you talk about Uncle Roger. Have you tried his restaurant at Pavilion KL?
no, not yet. I have, I have seen a lot of people reviewing it, and
Yeah.
they say it's okay only. They say they're like, oh, it's all right, it's all right.
Yeah, I mean, you go there more for the fame lah, rather than the quality of the food, right? But I mean, again, being
Yeah.
a being an influencer himself, he's quite smart. In when he was rolling it out, he invited a lot of the influencers, YouTubers in Malaysia and even beyond, right? To actually,
Oh,
and of course, leveraging on his fame, he invited quite a fair bit of those celebrity types, right? So I mean, he
yeah.
knows marketing, lah.
Yeah, I think he's done that very successfully, like how he pivot from just one viral video into the empire that he has now. I think
Yeah.
it takes skill. Honestly, it takes skill and really knowledge of the marketing and branding as well.
But I think I think the story that a lot of people didn't really catch on, right, is for him it also took a lot of persistence and trial and error, because Uncle Roger wasn't his first persona.
Mm,
So I think he tried a few things,
mm,
and didn't really blew up. Uncle Roger
mm,
was the persona that blew up for Nigel.
mm.
Yeah, and of course,
Yeah.
good for him, because he did have a few years where nothing was really going on. So I think a lot of people
Yeah.
miss the story of, it's actually the persistence. It's actually the
Mm,
not giving up despite that you have tried this, you have tried that.
mm,
Yeah. So I mean,
yeah,
good
for
for him.
sure.
Yeah. But one thing I would definitely not want him to change or pivot from
Mm.
is continuing to bash Jamie Oliver. He dropped
Yeah.
he
So,
dropped a new
mm,
video. He dropped a new
mm,
video, I think a few
mm,
days ago, which I had caught. Again,
mm.
bashing Jamie Oliver, because Jamie Oliver was doing his take on the Vietnamese pho.
Oh,
And like,
wow. Asking for it.
asking for it, like really asking for it.
Mm. Yeah.
And my wife is Vietnamese, so I purposely show her. And like, this will make her crazy for sure. And again,
Yeah.
like, because I'm I'm married to a Vietnamese, so I have my fair sense of Vietnamese food culture, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I look at
yeah.
the Jamie Oliver, the way he does it is like, yeah,
Confirm.
like confirm
Asking
confirm
for
gone,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Like he's again, you also got to wonder, right? I mean, obviously Jamie is not oblivious to the fact that everybody's trolling him about his lack of awareness when it comes to Asian
Yeah.
food cuisine, right? At some
Mm.
point, but I can't help wondering, right? Like, you don't know, or you think that bad publicity is actually good publicity?
I think maybe the second leh.
Yeah.
Cannot be he don't know. I don't I mean yeah, for sure from the first video that Uncle Roger made, I'm sure he knew from the start already. But maybe his PR team advised him, yeah, it's still publicity.
Yeah.
Without Uncle Roger, maybe he's even more like passe or forgotten.
Could
Then
be, could be.
yeah, could
Yeah.
be.
Like,
Yeah.
they're like,
But
you might as well milk it.
yeah, correct, correct. But you brought upon like a very interesting topic here as well of like Uncle Roger managed to find that persona that is different and yet it resonates with so many Asians, right? About like us bashing like the wrong uh cooking techniques or whatever. That is like something that is truly like fresh and truly like original. And that's why we all love the Uncle Roger persona so much. And I guess this is also like our journey as a brand. Like I feel like every brand kind of need to find that Uncle Roger genius aspect themselves as well. Like Duolingo found it, but doesn't mean that you have to copy what Duolingo find. Yeah, like you have to find your own like creative genius of how you are able to bring your business in a way that it's unforgettable in front of your customers. Yeah.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I think that's kind of exactly what all of us are trying to harness, right? Find that lightning in the bottle where, oh, it speaks to our brand, it speaks to us naturally, and yet
Mm.
it resonates with the audience that we are trying to cultivate and to bring our business forward. Yeah, and easier said than done, but we just have to keep trying, right?
But I mean, the good news is, I guess, you don't have to get to the level of virality like Uncle Roger or Duolingo to be able to make customers.
Hmm.
Like even with like 1,000 views, even with like low level virality, you can already get like a few customers already. So it, we don't have to always look at like whoa the top or the super successful stories. We can also like keep trying and keep pushing towards that, while at the same time refining what we have to offer already. Yeah.
Yeah. Most important is to build our own stories and be able to tell our own stories.
Correct. And it doesn't even have to like get viral or really be picked up by the mainstream media. It doesn't have to be. It can be like slow and steady and just like then you'll be attracting like maybe a few people, but those are the people that are truly invested and truly aligned with you. I think that's good enough to start. And from then on, it's how much you want to be intentional with your content, how much marketing, like intentional marketing you want to do to bring your business forward. I think that is more valuable than leveraging on that like viral moment, or really like something super super different that honestly not many can achieve. Yeah.
Cool, cool. All right. And well, with that, I think we have come to the end of the conversation. But it was a very interesting and insightful, enriching conversation. I learned quite a fair bit because I'm not very familiar with TikTok, but the ways you bring it across, yeah, that's something that definitely has an element of strategy, have an element of intention to it. So thanks for sharing,
No
and
worries.
hope to
Mm.
bring you on for another episode sometime down the road for more sharing. And with that, thank you for your time today.
Thank you, Elva, and hope we can meet again sometime in the future.
Oh,
And
for
always
sure.
happy to be talking to you. Yeah.
For sure. Right.
All
Cool. All
right.
right. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Hey guys, if you enjoy this podcast, subscribe and share it with your friends. We drop new episodes every week, so stay tuned. See you in the next one.